All right, well, it's 11 a.m. Central Time, and we're ready to get going here. So hello and welcome to our Jira Service Management Fundamentals webinar. We are so glad you were able to join us today for this overview of Jira Service Management. My name is Brad Wood, and I am a business consultant and Atlassian certified professional with Expium, a Valiantis company. And also with us today
Is me. Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Wright. I'm also a business consultant with Expium, and I am an Atlassian certified expert. And we'll be talking you through the fundamentals, as it says, of Jira Service Management today. Behind the scenes, we have our producer, Kylie. She also works here and is quite knowledgeable, and she's going to be managing maybe some of the chat and Q&A behind the scenes a little bit for us. So feel free to put your questions in there, and she'll be helping us out. A little bit more about Expium, a Valiantis company, is we are a full service provider and an Atlassian Platinum partner. And so webinars like this is really just one of our strengths. We have a broad range of offerings. We can build custom software solutions that can stand alone or integrate with other products like Jira, Confluence, etc. We have a consulting practice where we create solution and architecture designs for organizations that may be looking to stand up or further support their Atlassian applications. And because, again, of that platinum partnership, we are able to partner with companies and help them manage their licenses and offer pricing on licenses and marketplace apps. And a popular option for many of our clients is our training. Options for that include custom training for internal teams, and we have a wide variety of publicly available training as well. These are multi-day, in-depth bootcamp types of training, but no matter which training option that we perform, the users get a lot of in-depth and hands-on experience, which prepares them to implement or maybe even manage their own products.
All right, so a brief overview of our topic today, Jira Service Management. So what is Jira Service Management and who is it for? Well, Jira Service Management was originally created as a service management tool for IT teams, but over the years it's really evolved into a much more robust platform. So in addition to service management, it can be a support system with knowledge bases, it can be a ticketing system, it can be an asset manager, just a wide variety of powerful features within Jira Service Management. It provides an intake channel and tracking for service requests. It'll keep a record of those service requests. It helps keep your customers up to date on their requests and can provide a central hub for your requests to be submitted, which as opposed to, all these other intake channels you might be used to using, email, chat, phone calls, a conversation with somebody in the hall. Jira Service Management will really bring all of those channels into one central hub. And it's for both your internal and external customers. So your customers do not need to be a part of your organization in order to submit service requests through your instance of Jira Service Management. And really, it's not just for IT teams. It can be for any service team within your organization. So your HR team, your legal team, your marketing team, really anybody who's providing a service or receiving service requests from customers. One thing to note is that JSM, Jira Service Management, is built upon Jira software. So if you're already familiar with Jira, you may notice many similarities. You might already feel comfortable within this working environment. But if you don't have experience with Jira software, that's okay, because JSM is really a standalone platform, and you don't need to have experience or access to Jira software to use Jira Service Management.
Yeah, and so in our webinar today, we'll be covering three main areas, and some of the concepts that might come through, and I hope come through for you, is that service management is really built for speed and scale. So it's quick to set up, quick for users to adopt it, and it can scale as the needs of the organization build. And so we'll be presenting on that from three different personas through JSM. First is the customer. So Brad's going to walk us through how customers can access our help portal, how they can submit those tickets. Then I'll take over and be both the service team and the administrator of this particular project. And we'll look at how JSM is configured, right, to get those agents quickly to the tickets, to get to see the information and the requests that they need, and work towards resolution on those, and some of the tools that are built in to help them get to the resolution quickly. And we'll also look at this from the admin's perspective and how the admin can optimize some of those views and get reports written and service level agreements created for those reporting and metrics outward. And we're going to cover quite a bit today, but this product is pretty in-depth, so we did have to spin off a second webinar for some of those advanced features. And next, or on Thursday, August 3rd, there's going to be the Advanced Jira Service Management, and that's going to do a deeper dive into some of the functionality that JSM has incorporated into it over the years. There were a lot of best-in-class tools out there that folks were using. So JSM sort of absorbed some of those, and they include advanced incident management, which is powered by OpsGenie. There'll be increased change management capabilities, so to support the CI/CD integrations. And another feature is asset management, which will allow organizations to bring in and organize things like their computer and their software, as well as you could even put in some staff resources there, so to really harness the power of these two things together. But for now, we're going to turn it back over. Oh, sorry, Brad. Yep, I'm turning it back over to you, friend.
So let's dig into Jira Service Management. And just real quick, a reminder that we will have time at the end of the webinar for a Q&A. So if you do have any questions, feel free to post those in the Q&A section of the Zoom, and we will get to those as time allows. So here we are in the customer-facing side of Jira Service Management, and this is called the Help Center. Jira Service Management has a variety of intake methods for your customers to submit their tickets or their service requests, including via email, via chat, via widgets, all different kinds of intake methods that you can configure. But today we're going to focus on the Help Center, and this is really your customer's home base for submitting their requests. They can view the status of their requests through the Help Center. They can interact with agents, a lot of different functionality within this customer-facing Help Center. So probably the first thing you notice is this handy search bar. So your customers can use this to find help and services, maybe find the request type that they need for their particular issue that they might be having. And so it's like any other search bar. You can just type in, and so let's say I'm having issues with my VPN. Well, I can search for VPN, and we can see a couple things here. At the bottom, under Send a Request About, these are various request forms that have been configured that Jira Service Management is suggesting to me that maybe these are the right forms I could use to submit my request to my service team. We can also see under articles, it's actually suggesting a couple different knowledge base articles that perhaps these articles could help me maybe solve my own issue, maybe help with ticket deflection, where I don't actually need to submit a request to the service team. I could just read this article and solve my own issue. So we'll click into VPN troubleshooting. And this is just a dummy article. This is not real text. There's this image of this cat. This is probably not very helpful to me with my VPN troubleshooting, but just a example of what your article might look like to your customers. At the bottom, there's this question, did this article help? And I could choose yes or no. And this really helps your service team evaluate the effectiveness of the knowledge base articles that they have in the Help Center. So if it's helpful, I could click yes. If it's not, I could click no. And if I still need to raise a request, I could click this link and it would take me to a portal within the Help Center. I'm going to go back to the main page of the Help Center. And now we're going to talk about portals. So what the portals are within the Help Center is a group of service request forms that are all linked back to a specific project in Jira Service Management, which we'll show in more detail from the agent's point of view a little bit later in the webinar. But one way to think of these are just subsections of your Help Center. And we can see that these are grouped into portals based on specific departments. So for instance, we have the IT service desk, we have the HR service desk, we have the facilities service desk. And this really helps you keep all of your request types or forms organized, based on some similar trait or function. And you can have multiple request types within each of these portals. So I'm going to click into the IT service desk portal. And we can see now there's several groups within this portal, and each of these request a new laptop, get IT help, request new software, etc. These are all request forms that I could fill out depending on what my issue might be. So I am going to click into computers, and I'm going to now see this list of all these different request types that I can choose. So request a new laptop, get IT help, request new software, etc. I need a new laptop right now, so I'm going to click request a new laptop. And now this is the actual request form for this request type. And again, we'll get into a little bit more of those details on the back end with the agent's view, but for now, let's go ahead and fill out this form. So we can see there's a couple fields here that I can interact with and enter some values or information. The first one says reason for requesting new laptop. And if you notice, there's a red star next to this. So any fields that have that red star are required for your customers to fill out. So they will not be able to submit those forms unless there is a value either selected or entered into those fields. So this field, reason for requesting new laptop, is just a drop-down field. I'll click in here and say, well, my current equipment is damaged. And my next field, any additional details, this is a full text field. I could do tons of different formatting options within this field, but I'm just going to put some basic information in here so that the service team knows why I am requesting this new laptop, what happened, how did it get damaged, and I'm just going to say I dropped my laptop and the screen broke. So now I have another drop-down field. Which model would you like? So if I click in here, I should be presented with some options. I'm going to choose the MacBook Pro 16-inch. And now if I click send, this ticket has now been submitted to our service desk team. And this is what your customers will see on a submitted ticket. And there's a lot of different information here. All of those fields that I filled out on the form are displayed in this details section, which is expandable or collapsible. On our right-hand side, we can see that my ticket is in the status waiting for approval. I can turn my notifications on or off for this request. So maybe I do want email notifications, maybe I don't. I have the ability to select on or off. I can cancel this request if for some reason I don't need that new laptop anymore. I could just come in here and cancel it. Then the service team knows they don't need to work on this ticket anymore. The request type. So this is the form I filled out, request a new laptop. That is not editable after you have submitted a request. So just something to remember there. This shared with section, if I wanted to, I could click this share and type in another user and share this ticket with them. Perhaps it affects Sarah some way, so I want to share this ticket with her. And now she's included in this shared with section. We can also see at the bottom here, waiting for approval, one approval needed. And we will show you how those approvals work a little bit later today. But for now, all I know as the customer is that there is an approval needed and it is waiting for that approval. One other section on the ticket is the activity section. And This will provide sort of a log of any activity that happens on this ticket. So if the status changes, if I cancel it, if somebody adds a comment, all of that will be contained in the activities section. And I can actually add my own comment here, and I can say, please prioritize this request. And that comment will be visible by the agent or agents who are working this ticket. So that is a pretty basic form. I'm going to demonstrate one more, a little bit more sophisticated form, and I'm going to click into our HR service desk and select employee onboarding. And right away, we can see that this form is much more detailed, much more complicated. There are different types of fields. There's a date field, there's buttons I can select, there are checkboxes, there's a lot of different variety on this form. One thing that's very powerful on these forms is you can have additional fields display contextually based on an answer or a value that your customer has provided. So for instance, this question, business cards needed. If I select yes, there are many more fields that are displayed now to help collect a little bit more information on these business cards that I need. So I can fill in my name, my job title, my email address, all that information that I might want to include on my business cards. So one last section of the portal that your customers will want to view and utilize is this request section. So they can navigate to that by just heading up to the top in the right-hand corner and clicking requests. And I'm presented with a couple different options: created by me, created by our organization, or all tickets. I'm just going to select created by me. And we can see a list of all open requests that have been created by me. And these are actually drop-down fields. You can click and filter your requests on a number of different variables. You know, maybe I want to see my closed requests for some reason. I could select this box and include those in this list. And if I select created by anyone, for instance, now I can see several more tickets that were created by people other than me. So I'm going to go back to created by me. And there's a lot of different information displayed here in these columns that you can view very quickly as a customer. Probably the most important or useful column is the status column, which you can quickly see the current status of any of the tickets that you have submitted. And also you can click directly into your tickets by either hovering over this reference number or the summary. So for instance, if I click into need replacement iPhone, and we're back to that customer facing ticket view. And this one is great because an agent has actually commented here as well. So this is what their comment might look like. You can see their name, when there's a timestamp here when they made this comment. And so that's one way that your agents and your customers can communicate back and forth, and you can keep your customers up to date on the status of any of their requests. So that's really it for the customer-focused portion of this webinar. I'm going to hand things back over to Sarah, and she is going to walk us through Jira Service Management from an agent's point of view.
Thanks, Brad. That was a great walkthrough of how the customers can submit their tickets. And so imagine I'm wearing my service management team member hat right now, and that's what we're going to explore in the system. Before I take you there, though, I wanted to give you a peek at a Gmail email that I got from Brad. So when he added me as a participant, it sent an email over to me. As the person who made the request, Brad would also get emails with additional information that he could respond to that email with, or view the request and so forth. So I wanted to make sure our friends saw that there. And let's take you now over into Jira Service Management. So as the team member, I am going to spend a lot of time wanting to try to get to those requests that come in as quickly as possible. And one of the ways I can do that is through using these queues. And so when I open up a service desk project, I'm going to land in this area of queues. I almost said the land of queues, that's what it feels like. And so I can see here there's a couple options of the different kind of queues that are available. So one is set up for created in the last day, or maybe I want to see all the ones assigned to me and so forth. But let's go with created in the last day. And here at the top, I can see the one that Brad just submitted. So we're going to dive into the detail view right now. This view is going to allow those folks working tickets to configure it and to make some changes to the way the screen displays so that, again, they can get to that information they need to get this ticket to resolution as soon as possible. So we'll take a quick tour, overview of all of the different areas, starting here with just the basic details of the ticket that Brad submitted. So here we can see the reason and the description that he shared. If there was a bigger form that he was filling out, that would have appeared right here. And I'll show you an example of that HR form that we peeked at from the customer side and see how that looks. Over on the right side, though, this is where a lot of the activity also happens. So starting at the top here, we can see is the status. So that's that same status that Brad had on his customer side. We can see it here. And so very quickly, I know as the person servicing this ticket that it's going to require some sort of approval before I take it to the next step. And there are many ways to set approvers. For this example, though, I'm going to go ahead and set myself as the approver. So I'm going to add my name here and select it. So I am now the approver. And when I go back to approvals, again, as somebody who might be working this ticket, if they have the ability to approve it, they would see that option right there in lovely green. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and approve that. And behind the scenes, there's some automation now that flipped our status over to waiting for support. Again, automation is another one of those wonderful features of Jira that lets you create many rules behind the scenes that are going to affect and make things happen faster for those working these issues. So I can see here now waiting for support. Fantastic. And then that status will also be out on Brad's view as a customer. Now, the next section here is our SLAs, our service level agreements, right? We've talked to our customers and we said, this is how fast you can expect things to be done. And we want to be able to present that. So for the folks working the tickets, they can see, you know, I need to respond to this today by 3:13 p.m. And I really need to have this thing resolved by 11:13. As an admin, we're going to go in and look at how to configure those, but for now, these are presented to those agents in this way. And again, there's going to be some colors and some visuals, because another great thing about JSM is the way it uses some of those graphics. So at a glance, I can just look over and see, I don't see any red there, so I'm in pretty good shape on my SLAs. Another option you have is the ability to expand and collapse some of these areas. So I'm just going to collapse my SLAs right now because that's not the thing I'm concerned with. But again, options to configure and get me to the information that I most need in order to resolve these tickets. I can use another feature called pin fields. So as I scroll on the left here, there are a variety of fields, which, as we talked about, it allows for scale as well. So as your organization grows, or whatever the needs of your organization are, to supplement the information that appears on these tickets. So you can use them for SLAs, you can use them for reporting, etc. All of those fields are going to be available to the agents, but they might not need them all. So what we can do is click on a pin and it's going to pop it up and it's going to go into our pin fields area. So again, we can really focus in on the information that we need. Speaking of that information, one of the other great benefits with JSM is that it's also a knowledge management tool as well. As folks are working on these issues, as they're discovering solutions, or maybe they're even new and they might need a little help with what some of those solutions are, there's a whole knowledge base that can back up all of your agents. And they're going to have access to them on here through related articles. So they could click on that, and then from here they can jump in and see one of those articles. These articles are also, you can get links and you can share them out to the customers. So if you remember when Brad put in a search term and he got presented with some of those articles, these are those exact same articles. And those are powered behind the scenes from Confluence. So if you have experience with Confluence, this is going to be very familiar to you. And again, if you don't, very quick to adopt and get to know Confluence. I know it's one of our producers' favorite areas to talk on as well. So they can jump here and see related articles, and then you can see there's a lot of additional information that can be available to your agents. Now let's come back over here on the left side, and another one of those features like the knowledge base is similar requests. So as more and more tickets and more requests are coming into your areas, those, Jira's going to use some machine learning, and it's going to go out and search past requests and present you with options for other similar requests, and so that you could jump into any of those and you can see how those were resolved. So if I just click on that, it's going to open up the details of that view. Maybe there's a field in there that's going to have the entire resolution out there for you to read through. Maybe there's going to be a note for you left that you can read and go, oh, I know how to fix this issue. Let's go back to Brad's ticket, however. The system's a little bit slow here, but so as that loads, that's one of the options. Now, communicating back with our customers, right? So maybe there's more information we need. Maybe we just want to update them on the status of the ticket. This open communication and transparency that happens between the people working the tickets and the customers is really easy to manage here as well. So I'm going to come here into the lower portion of our activity center, and we can see right there, right, Brad said, please prioritize this request. So anything our customers put in, we're going to find it down here in this activity center as well. And then as the person working this, as the agent, we have a couple options available to us. We can add an internal note or reply to customer. So internal notes are fantastic, right? Because maybe there's some conversations I want to have with other agents about how to resolve this. Maybe I need to pull somebody else in. I can do that straight from here. So I can mention somebody like Connor, and he'll get this ticket. Can you help me? And Connor doesn't actually have to be a Jira Service Management licensed user. He could have just Jira software, and he's going to be able to see. Now, he's not going to be able to work this or do anything besides add an internal comment, but he is going to be able to collaborate on that ticket with us. And so when I hit save, one of the things you'll notice, because again, lots of nice visual cues we get, is that this is highlighted in a yellow color. So that yellow helps us know, oh, that's an internal note. That customer's not going to see that. But if I do want to reply to my customer, I would simply click on that link, and I can let Brad know that, yay, we have an approval. And he would see that, of course, right? Because on his side of things, he's also going to see that it's no longer waiting for approval. But if I wanted to be really explicit, I can do that. And, if I wanted to include a picture of a cat back to him, I could do that by attaching images. So the ability to edit and format and include additional information inside of these text boxes is really tremendous. And one of the things, especially if you're an IT team and maybe you're talking about some code changes, the ability to format code snippets this way and tables, etc. Lots of ways for you to provide really clear communication, whether that's to your internal teammates or back out to those customers. Another option you might see here, right, is the canned responses. So this gets us to that speed again. So maybe we have some standard responses that we like to be able to give people, or we know there's a whole list of knowledge base articles that they might be interested in reading about when they send in their request. So we can use canned responses to do that. There's two types. So an agent can have their own set of canned responses that they can use here, and they can also create ones that are shared across the project, so anybody can access those. And you can combine these too. So just to show you how that works, I'm going to reuse a response, and I can include information in here, such as the request status. So you're able to pull in information from some of those fields that are on your ticket. So let's insert that response. And then I'm just going to make a new line and insert a second canned response here. So you can see how these things can build on each other. And you can insert these also via automation again. All those little tips and tricks we can to make surfacing information for our agents and to our customers. There's lots of possibilities for that. So I'll go ahead and save my comments there. And as I scroll up, I have a quick option here so that I just want to test and make sure everything I did worked. So I'm going to go review this request out there in the portal, and I'm going to be able to see, here we are. So there's that activity that Brad showed, right? So it shows the comments that we made, the fact that the request was approved, and so forth. So that gives you a quick way to get back out and see some of those as they are in the context and how the customers are seeing them. All right, I was just checking my note. I wanted to cover some details for you. Oh, and how the form will appear. So he walked us through as if we were onboarding a new employee, and I kind of laugh. It looks like we're onboarding a new employee, maybe circa 1995. Let's get the business cards. But that was just an example of the information, right, and how we can branch off those things. And so when there is a lot more information that needs to be collected from those customers, and you only need that information, you know, to exist for the agents to view, and it's collected in the form, this is how we see it. So now I'm looking at one of those forms from one of the requests from our HR department. So we saw that portal, and that's tied to an HR project. And we can come out here, and we have a new employee named Philip J. Fry, who is going to need to be onboarded and have some equipment sent out. And so as I come down here, we can see here is how the form information appears, so that somebody can quickly get, again, to that information that they need. All right, let's go now back into our queue area, because a couple of things I want to mention about working in queues. So as an agent, I have the ability to see any of these queues. I can decide which ones, again, are most important to me, which are my go-to ones. And so I have the ability to star these, which is going to pop that up into my start or my particular priorities. And then an administrator is going to be able to set the order of the team priority and the other. And we'll get to that in a second. I want to show you a couple of the other things that are available for agents to do here over on the queue side. So I'm going to go now into all open tickets. And we can see literally all the open tickets right now. So open means it's not resolved. We haven't closed this out. The customer's still waiting for something. And we talked about those visual cues. So right here on our SLAs, these are columns that pull in specific service level agreements. And we can see we've breached a lot of them. They are in that kind of red-orange color. So again, that's a quick tip for me to know. I should probably go out and look at that. So as an agent, I have the ability to come here and I can sort by some of these fields. So I can sort by created, or I can sort by status. Again, taking just a moment for us to get there, but as soon as we get our sort by status, I want to do something here, and I'm going to try to find, I was going to find a group that was waiting for approval. Here we go. It's right there. And so now I have some things that I can do here straight from the queue. I can take some bulk actions on tickets because, again, it's about the speed. So here I'm able, let me select these 4 items that are all waiting for approval. And I can also see we breached our resolution times. So I'm going to put a comment on these. And I'm going to add an internal note that says, hey, I'm waiting on approval. And I'll type better than that and try to use better spelling later. But you can see right now, I quickly hit that. As we see down in the lower corner here, it says adding comments to the 4 tickets. So now I just did 4 things with very few clicks. So I'm going to just go ahead and keep those selected so we can talk about a couple more things here that are able to be done. We can link these issues. So if you are familiar with Jira software and the ability to relate issues, so whether it's blocks or maybe it depends on or is waiting for, etc. So we can take those 4 issues and just in a few clicks, we can say that these are blocked by something else. And then I can search for a Jira issue, whether that is something in our JSM or something in our software projects, and we can connect to those things that way. As you just saw, we can comment internally or externally. I could say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take these on. So very quickly assign them to myself. And I can bulk transition from here as well. So I can move them into another status. But one of the nice things that was added just some time ago. So now I can hover over my statuses here, and I can also on an individual ticket level take those things into the next status. So for instance, if they were waiting for approval and I can approve, I can do that right from this queue without having to open up the tickets. All right, so that's a little bit more about how those queues work. And so I'm gonna switch hats and I'm gonna put on my administrator's hats now. And staying here inside of our queues, let's look at how we manage them as the administrator. So coming into our left panel where, a lot of our extra menus and our menus associated with a particular project are going to be, I'm coming down into manage queues. And now I have the option here where I can see the team priorities, which are here, our other, which relate down here, and I can move these around. So I can say, you know what, as a team priority, I think doing 4 hours should be that top one. So I can just move those back and forth. Also having the option to create a new queue, but instead of creating a new queue, I want to open an existing one and show you how that works. So I'm going to the one for our SLA tracking all tickets and coming up into the upper right here with our ... It's a common thing inside of Jira software is that you can, in Jira Service Management, that ... holds a lot of extra functionality for you. So I am going to edit my clone. You might have noticed or edit my clone, edit my queue. You might have noticed the options to clone the queue as well as delete the queue. We're up there in that ... But here's what it looks like when you go to create a new queue. It's going to ask you to import a name. It's going to ask you if that should be part of the team priority. And then it's going to say, well, what kind of issues should be a part of this particular queue? And you do that by using filters. Again, for our Jira software users, the idea of filters is going to be common for you, but for any software, right, where you have lots of items that you can filter by. So we're looking at a basic view here. So this is super easy. We can drop this down, and maybe I only want to have a particular issue type associated here. So we'll just say maybe this one is only for approvals, and then you notice how the results down here all change so that it's only for approvals, but I'm going to instead uncheck that and select all. And you can see here just right out of the gate, it's going to let you filter by status, by resolution, by labels. And then there are additional fields in here that you can add and filter your queues by. So as an admin, of course, you're going to work with those agents, work with those teams, and be able to configure these in the ways that work best for them. So in addition to saying, what are the issues that I want to have appear on this queue, you can also say, what's the information about those that I want to have present right there on that queue screen? And we do that by selecting the columns here. And so we have our type, summary, etc. And so what was really important for us here, because this queue was about SLAs, is that I'm including a couple of those SLAs there. So the time to first response and the time to resolution. And if I wanted to add another one in here, I've got reporter, assignee, created. Let's say, when was this thing last updated, for instance? So I can add that in there, and we see the field is there. And maybe that's really important to see like at the beginning. So I can just drag and drop that column just over there to the left. And if I wanted, I would save my changes or cancel out of them, which I'm going to do here. One more thing before I go, though, is that, this is the basic way to create filters. There are more advanced ways to create filters, and that uses something called JQL, or Jira Query Language. And so basically it's here, I'm going to switch here, and it lets you write these in here where we would say, and request type, right? And so as an admin, you're probably going to be more familiar with how those work, and then how you can use that to build really robust queues if that's what your team needs. Instead, let's just switch back to basic and, oh, try again, right? Because I didn't get my filters in there. So we're just going to go get out of there and go back to a different queue. I'm going to discard all my changes. Okay, so speaking of SLAs, let's go take a look at those, and we're going to explore one that already exists. And then once again, it's going to be very similar to how you create a new SLA. So to do that, again, I'm wearing my admin hat here. And when I have my admin hat on, I have project settings available to me in that left panel at the very bottom. And so I'm going to wait for some of these to fill in, and I scroll down on my left here. So again, this is like that menu for this project and some of the things that I'm able to do. And I scroll, and here I can get to SLAs. So SLAs, let us say, when do we start a clock? When do we pause a clock or a timer? And when do we stop that timer for how we work through our issues? And so you can see we have some already existing here. So what is our time to resolution? Our time to first response? What are those goals that we're trying to meet? And so let's open up our time to resolution, and we'll click on edit, because I'm an admin and I have that power. And you can see here, we can set up different goals based on different issue types, based on different request types. We could even do it based on customers or organizations. Many different options are available to us, because again, we can use our filtering system, we can use our JQL to build really robust ones. But we can also do this and keep it very simple, because maybe we're just standing this up and we want to start using this very quickly. Some of these already exist out of the box for us. But just to walk you through, first you'll set up a time goal, and you might want to do that in hours or days. So we're going to enter, for this one, our goal was within 4 hours for a type of calendar, and you can have many different calendars available to us. We're going to do a sample 9 to 5 calendar, so that for any ticket in the category incidents, we should respond to that in 4 hours. Now, ticket categories we haven't talked about, or request types we haven't talked about yet, but this is one of those things that they're going to do a little bit more of that deep dive at our next webinar is, what's an incident, what's a problem, and how can we manage those more quicker, I was about to say. We can manage those. You'll learn more about that here. But you can see, so we set our goals, and then we say, okay, when do we start that timer? We're going to say when that issue is created, or maybe we thought we were done, but we reopened it. So when our resolution is cleared, we're going to pause that timer when it's pending or waiting for customers. So let me just add a condition here so you can see some of the other examples you'll have, or options you'll have when you create one from scratch. You could do it like as soon as an assignee is set on the issue. That's when your timer starts. You can do it when your due date sets. That's when your timer starts. You can see lots of different options available to you. And so we can pause it, right? So it doesn't count against us when we're waiting for a customer response. And we're going to completely stop our timer then when our resolution is set, and just a couple options then for how you want that to display out to your agents. So whether that's doing it by a date centric or a time centric, and every time I hit that time, I just hear that little clock in my head, that tick, 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 but we'll keep that as date centric. So there'll be examples of these when you first spin up a JSM instance, and then you're going to be able to use those to create more SLAs for you. And again, all about scale. You can go crazy configuring some of these things. And I'm going to discard my changes there. Now, one of my favorite parts of this, quite frankly, is when we get into managing our request types. And so our request types are a bit of the backbone of everything in JSM. And so again, when we come back out to our help desk, all of these are based on different request types. First, we have projects, and then we have groups, portal groups, and those portal groups are made from these different types of requests. So I'm just going to open up the Get a Guest Wi-Fi account as an example of one, so that now you're seeing it here, what it looks like for the customer. And then let's go look and see what it looks like for an agent. And again, as my admin, how I can adjust the screens for folks to make it. Frankly, it's all about help me, help you, help us, right? How do we help each other get these things to resolution? And sometimes that help just comes from us helping the customers provide us with the best information. And so there's a few things that we can do with this. All request types, when you go to configure them, have the request form associated with them. And so here we've got a little input that says, you know, hey, customers, this is why you might use this particular form. It can have additional instructions that you can add there, and they can have summary, description. If I look over here on my right panel, this is where I can pull in additional fields that would be presented out to our customers to fill in. And so, you know, maybe there is, I should have had one ready to go. Let's say field as well. And so this is a very basic request type. And so without any further customization, it's going to appear exactly as it appears here, right? There's going to be a summary field, a description field. But we can do a little bit better for our customers and for ourselves to make sure that we get the right information. So I'm not sure if you noticed right here where I can expand and collapse these things. So summary is there, and what I can do is I can change the name, or I can change the label of this for how it's going to appear to our customers. And we can do that through our portal field name. So get a guest Wi-Fi account. If I wanted to, I could say, who needs the Wi-Fi? And my spell check is aggressive. So, you know, enter the full name. I can say who needs the Wi-Fi and enter full name. And then that particular one is required. Summaries are always required. So now I have that change in there. For description though, maybe we want to say like, how long do they need it? And if I put that field on there and I save my changes, then I'm just going to go ahead and refresh over here. We'll come back to it in a moment. They're going to see those new labels and descriptions out there. As that admin, I can also go into the issue view, and I can adjust how that detail screen looks with, you know, what fields need to appear, what order those fields are going to appear in. I can drag and drop those simply again so that I can help my agents get to things faster. And then, oh, I didn't save that change, and that's okay. And then workflow statuses, which I didn't even dive into the workflow statuses when we were out on our detail view. But as agents are working tickets and as they go through these different workflows, which Jira administrators can create for you, there's options like waiting for support and waiting for customers. And so these can expand and scale for you as your needs grow. But what we present out to our agents can be customized for what we present back out to our customers. And so if waiting for support, maybe this is all the customer really needs to know is that maybe it's pending here also and pending in here, right, and in progress. So we can kind of simplify some of those communications out to our customers, and our customers are going to see that as well. So that's one way you can add to your portal to help enhance or optimize those. There is another way, and we are not going to have time to get into this fully, but I do want to show that there are dynamic forms as well. So maybe, you know, you need to go beyond just the fields that are available to you through your Jira Service Management project. Just like we saw with our HR request, right? How did we get all of this additional information out to our customers? And we did that by building a completely custom form. But what's really nice, again, getting this set up real quickly for you and getting things done very fast. When I go here into create form, if we look over on our right side here, look at that. 216 different templates are available to you. So I could have just as easily come out here and said guest Wi-Fi access, and I could create a form, have it all pre-built for me right here. I'll say insert template, and then you'll see I have a lot of those same options that I had just on the request type. So I could come and select the name field. I could adjust the label. I could say full name if I wanted to here. And what's even better is on these custom forms that I can link these into Jira fields. So maybe if I wanted that to be my summary field, it's just as easy to say, make that my summary field. And so I can really quickly customize forms with lots and lots of different fields. Fun tip, one of my favorite new, oh, it's not in this one yet, but there is a way to add multiple attachment fields, checkboxes, radio boxes. If you've worked, created forms at all, you're going to be really pleased with all the options that are available to you, including branching, right? Because that's how we said, hey, I need those business cards, and here's how we presented the fields was by using branching. And then across here, those same format tools that you have are available there as well. All right, so let's get out of here. We're not going to save that form for us. We have about 10 minutes left, so I do just want to touch on that idea of automation, because this is one of the really powerful features in Jira Service Management. And so as the admin, and I'm in my project settings, and I can come to automation. And just like we saw with those templates available for forms, there's templates available for automation. So this is going to help you see some examples. And one of the examples here is, here it is, resolve issues due to inactivity. You can click on one of these and you get the idea where you can say you can schedule these automations, you can trigger them off of status changes or when assignees set. Again, possibilities really feel endless with what you can do with automations. But this is a nice one because it says, hey, every every day at 9 a.m., look for any issue that's in status but hasn't been updated in more than 5 days, and we're going to add a comment to that issue that says, hey, reporter, haven't heard back from you in a while. Can you give us an update? And all of that's going to happen behind the scenes. So I could literally talk for days about this. And the good news is we do have people who talk for days about this through our boot camps, right? So if we whet your appetite at all, we're going to be able to share out information for you for how to sign up on those boot camps. But in the meantime, we also have a little bit of time for some Q&A. I feel like I only just scratched the surface for you guys. So, one of the questions I see here is, can we link JSM with other knowledge bases like Guru? And so I don't personally have experience with Guru, but one of the things you are able to do is to surface related resources. And so again, wearing my admin hat back in project settings, and I apologize, I might fumble a touch through this as I wait for my screen. Come on, project settings. That we have external resources available to us. So we didn't get to talk too much about our knowledge bases, right? The one that sort of built into JSM and the one that connects to Confluence. But through our external resources, you can add links. So let me go ahead and just grab our training link here. I'm going to put that URL here, and external resources, we'll just call that. Oh, sorry, select self-help. I was doing that wrong. External resource. Look here. And when I add that, because I'm in my IT project, and let's go back to our IT service desk, we have related resources so that we can add some additional links down there. There is a question about APIs, and so I can't dive a lot into the APIs with you on this call, very robust APIs, very robust, many options out there to integrate Jira Service Management with a ton of other applications. What we're going to do is we're going to be able to take these questions from all of our attendees, and we are going to be able to respond back to you via email with some more in-depth answers in here. And then another question, any documentation on the automation in detail to understand the feature in detail? And yes, so what I would say to that is, whoops, wrong tab here, is, first is going in and looking at some of the existing automations and deconstructing those from the templates, and that's going to get you a long way there. And then the other thing we can do, of course, is we can send you out links to additional information on how the automations can work. And I mean, we have so many automations out here already, and we can go into our templates and you can start there. And even from in here, there's going to be information for you related to how to get more. There'll be links on how to get to more information about the automation. Now, another question that's come up is about those approvers. And so I'm going to take a peek at that with you as well. So approvers happen with the workflows. So approvers are connected to different statuses. And so I'm coming in, again, now I'm more like the whole Jira admin as opposed to just my project admin. And right here, I can see I've got a workflow with an approval step on it. And so you'll see this entire workflow pop up, and then we're going to select just one of those statuses where we see the approval right here. So it is waiting for approval. And it's so easy. The first time I came here, I was like, well, this is nice. It's very clear. All I have to do here is check this box to include an approval step. And then I edit that. And then I get walked through the options of who those approvers can be. So I can have one or more specific people. I can have one or more people from a group, or everyone, right? So maybe you have a governing body and everybody has to approve something in order to get that moved forward. And it's really super easy to get those things off the ground with the approvers there. All right, so just 4 minutes left. Brad, is there anything else you want to share with folks about using JSM, or maybe any events coming up, etc.? I'll stop my share for a moment.
Absolutely. Let me share my screen. So just a quick reminder on those advanced Jira Service Management features that we will be covering in our webinar on August 3rd, 11 a.m. Central Time, much like this one. We'll go into some of those more advanced features. So your advanced incident management powered by OpsGenie, your increased change management capabilities, asset management with JSM assets, really some of those deeper dive topics into that expanded and advanced functionality that JSM can provide you, and we'll cover all that again on August 3rd. If you'd like to sign up for that event, head over to expium.com/events, where you can see all of our upcoming events, including some of these. Our Jira Bootcamp, our JSM Bootcamp, our Jira Align Bootcamp, Confluence Bootcamp. These are really those multi-day courses where you and several other people will be working through sort of a deep dive on all of these different pieces of software with a very knowledgeable instructor. You'll go through some activities. You'll do a lot of configurations. These are really great, like I say, multi-day deep dives on these topics. And if you'd like to sign up for any of those, just head over to our website, expium.com, and we would love to see you in some of those upcoming boot camps. So like Sarah said, we will be reaching out to those folks who did not get their Q&A questions answered. And if you do have any other questions for us, I know Kylie has provided our email addresses in the chat. So feel free to shoot us an email if you have any questions on anything Atlassian related to Expium, any of the services we provide. Would be happy to touch base with you on any of those topics. But for now, thanks again for joining us today. I know that was a lot of information within an hour, but hopefully you found this valuable, and we're so glad you could join us today, and have a great day.